mean, the site goes down, I don't know that I'll know how to fix
How many times has our site
it.
gone down since we've had it?
No,
I'm not aware.
And we haven't had that extra before?
Right.
I say we're good for 6 months.
It's worth a try
It's
anyway.
worth a shot. And we're not selling stuff on there every day, so it's not like it's a huge revenue loss if our site goes down.
It's all on y'all.
I used to build websites and I had to teach web design, so we're good.
She was my teacher at MCDC.
Okay, if y'all can figure that out, how to do that between your other 65-hour a week a week job, then God bless you. Okay, where are we? What time you need to leave, Rick? Okay, you wanna give us, we need to.
Well, I was
Rick's got to
interested,
do-
I was interested about the economic development partnership first, so.
Okay,
With FEDC?
Yeah, NFPD.
No, that's FEDC.
Oh, okay.
That's the state economic development organization.
Okay.
It's like
I thought it was
$350.
NFPD. Yeah, I'll fix that. Just real quickly, I know that, for the college as part of it, you know, we just recently kicked off a new CDL truck driver school. We have 13 in it, which is great. Now we have 12. They're doing real well. Gray Logging will be with them tomorrow and start talking about how to hook up and haul logs. So that's a key thing that they're in that industry, they're looking at needing as far as their insurance carrier requires that. So we're actually gonna, have them out there tomorrow. They're gonna start hauling some logs and stuff. That program seems to be taking off a little bit now. We had like, what, 4 or 5 in one class, maybe 6 in another, but this class really
We're at
kicked
30
off.
now.
Pardon?
30. After this cohort
Yeah,
goes
then
through.
after this cohort is done, the scholarships that Career Source have done for us, and, they've already served all those
I'll be
scholarships.
all 30.
So,
Not to say we
anyway,
won't continue.
but we're
funding
still
some.
having a lot of, from talking to Kelly Zimmerly, she, at college, she's getting a lot of, inquiry and interest right now, so that's working well. We just partnered with the high school with a new welding technologies program, and if you want to give an update on that whenever, I just let people know we have that going, and there's some other things we hope to get kicked off doing with career technical. My boss, David Dunkel, left. He normally takes care of this part, so kind of in the interim.
so we're stuck with you for
We're
how
stuck
long?
with me in the interim for a while. On that aspect of it, maybe, I don't know how much more permanent that'll be, I don't know, we'll just have to wait and see. But I just wanted to give everybody a quick update on what's going on at the college, and I actually got a D2L meeting at the college right now, so I've got, have a great day.
Thank you, Rick.
Thanks.
Okay. All right, regarding the renewal of, Florida Economic Development Council. Sue?
Well, we've previously been a member, we just need to decide if we wanna continue, if we feel like it's worth $350. $350 a year.
Well, I can't, doesn't have much choice.
You do, it's $350 a year, and it's the Florida Economic Development Council. It's a state, and so they advocate and lobby on behalf of all communities and all their partners for economic development. And I think for the money, I think it's a value-added service that we get from them.
How much input does Madison County have to give in that? Influence too?
Well,
Influence?
Alan Cherry was on the board for a while, so, Madison, I don't think has a board member right now, but through, involvement and stuff like that, I mean, I talk to the board members pretty often, so to keep them updated on what's going on in the rural communities, so.
what is the process of getting someone back on board?
Well, Alan was appointed to the board for the region, so I'm not sure who the regional person is right now.
I think it was Alvin, but now Alvin's gone.
Yeah,
So,
Really?
yeah.
He went to the beach.
Yeah. So the regional NFEDP would be appointed from one to a place.
How do they determine that? Just from those who are involved?
It's usually a member of their board who is an active economic developer. That's
So
who-
Alvin was the Swanee County Economic Development
Right.
person, and we're part of the North Central region. So Alvin was our representative of that whole region, so, and Alan Cherry was before that.
And
So-
Jeff from NFEDP, is he on the board?
Yes.
He is on that board. And we pay, the county pays NFEDP too. Yes. So there's representation there as well.
I mean, anyone from here ever go to these meetings? You do go to?
I do, she does, Diane does. Alan went when he was chairman. They usually have, at least annual meetings. Sometimes they have a semi-annual meeting. They were doing that pretty regularly for a while. I think they backed off of the semi-annual. And typically one was in the northern half of the state, one was in the southern half of the state. So typically I usually went to the one in the northern half of the state instead of driving 8 hours to the southern half of the state.
Doesn't the membership also give you, or don't the dues also give you, registration for the conference as well?
I'm not sure about that.
How's that sound?
Always paid.
Yeah,
Well, I know we have paid for members to go to the conference and then we get reimbursed.
Oh,
We get scholarship,
Yeah.
usually out of the NFEDP funding for scholarships.
there's a good bit of people on the board that, have statewide interests, the Florida Chamber of Commerce and Duke Energy and Florida Power and Light. There's several that aren't, city specific. Career Source Florida, Enterprise Florida, those people have, more of a statewide interest too. And then we would be represented by our regional director.
What was the last thing you said? I'm sorry.
I was just saying there was a good bit of people on the board who had more of a statewide interest instead of just their specific area, and so the representation of that in that way,
Okay.
someone from the Chamber of Commerce, Career Source, or Power and Light.
So Mr. Powell, do you feel like we have sufficient representation on that to continue, I mean, it's important to continue our relationship with them, but I'm just saying, do we need to push for more representation from our county, or do you feel that's sufficient the way it is?
I think with the relationships that I have and Diane, and, that we have at the state level, yeah, I think we're pretty well, we've got good relationships. I don't think we need a sitting Madison person to try to be advocated to be on the board, per se. I just think we need to have a relationship with the board members and the folks that are actively engaged in that.
And the way it is now, you're fine with it?
Well, the board members are chosen regionally. You've only probably got 15 board members from all across the state, so you can't have a board member from every, so.
I agree, but more involvement, whether they're sitting on the board or not, you feel like the involvement that we have currently is sufficient?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
I go to all the conferences, and there's probably more Madison people there than any other. Crawford's there, I'm there, Danny's been, Diane goes, Sherilyn goes, Alan's gone, Alan was awarded at the conference
Right.
just a couple of years ago.
That's good to know.
Yes, there's always a lot of us
Yeah,
there,
we've always got a good contingent out.
so,
The downside is if we don't be a member, then what does that do to us?
We're shunned.
Okay.
And we've got, we'll have a new governor soon that has either one of them is gonna have a very different approach to economic development than the current governor. So it's gonna be important that we're involved in these kind of organizations as, issues are pushed and rural issues in particular, come to the forefront.
FEDC does a good job of lobbying at the Capitol too. So, I think that's probably one of their stronger suits is their ability to leverage the board and the members and the level of the members to lobby at the Capitol for.
Okay. Any other discussion? We'll beat this puppy to death. Entertain a motion to approve the spending of $350 for our annual membership.
I make a motion to do that.
Phyllis, did you?
Make a motion that we approve.
Okay, is there a second? Ms. Lucille, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Did you get that? Secretary, good. Did you make note of that? All right, Vision 2030. We've had a 2010, we've had a 2020, now we got a 2030. We had talked about a couple of months ago, a couple of meetings ago, I guess now, having a visioning process, various and sundry discussions about who to include, whether it's this group here, the county, city commissioners, and council members from the various Lee, Madison, and Greenville. My personal feeling, we had the Vision 2020, excuse me, the Vision 2010. This was back in 1997.
Cherry Lake.
At Cherry Lake. There were over 800 people had their fingerprints on that vision process.
That was a great meeting.
You know, it's nice for us to sit around and talk about what we want, this, that, and the other, but, you know, there's, I don't know what our population is today, it keeps fluctuating, but there's 18,000 other people that might want to have a little say in the direction of this county, so, my personal feeling, the more people we have, the better the process will be. And if they don't show up, then don't complain once we put a package together and present it to the cities and the counties. If y'all recall, we are all the municipalities in the county have designated us as the economic development arm for all of the entities. So, and economic development, if you'll recall, is not just about jobs. It has an 8-prong approach: recreation, healthcare, recreation, and I don't know.
Well, it's about community development.
It's
You
about
can't have
community.
economic development until you have community development.
Right, so open the floor up for discussion as to what, when, and where. Any thoughts?
Jeff Hendrick from North Florida Economic Development sent out an email the other day that an MPDP received grant funding to begin working on their strategic plan for our North Florida region. And Diane and I, and there were several Madison people that went to that meeting a few months ago. I think there'd be a lot of value in not waiting necessarily for them to finish, but to extending our plan off of what they come up with and making sure it's all cohesive and building on whatever, what we're doing in the region and then locally.
See, I think just the opposite. I think they would benefit by having the input from the counties and then have it dovetail into what we do. That's why I agree with Ed, that the more people that we have involved in the county plan, the better off we are, so that we have more buy-in to what the outcome turns out to be.
Right, and they had that meeting a few months ago, and Diane and I and Brian Kaufman and Rick Davis, there was, again, more Madison people there than any other community, I think. And that was what they were doing, was sort of weighing in on what we needed as leaders in the community and representing career source and colleges and education and things like that. And I know that that's part of their plan, is is reaching out to the communities and getting into each county and seeing more face to face what they need. So, like I said, I don't think we need to wait on them or anything like that. That's not what I mean. I just more was noting that they're also going through this process and they received the grant funding necessary to get it done.
I have a question. Is the 2010 and 2020 visions published anywhere? Because I would be interested in seeing it myself. And is there any accountability or review back to those plans? Like, are we on track for what we wanted to accomplish for 2020? Or is it just like created and then there you go?
Well, I'll just give you a couple of examples. One of the things that we said back in '97 is that we wanted a rec park. We got a rec park. One of the things we said that we wanted was an upgraded hospital. We have an upgraded hospital. From a recreational standpoint, we got the rails to trails. From an economic development standpoint, we decided that we wanted to do a connector road that connected 255 and 53 along the interstate. That is in place. We wanted water and sewer to all of the interchanges. We got 3 of them. It's just not economically feasible for 14 right now. So have we done everything that we wanted to do? No, because it takes money.
Yeah, that's from the 2010 plan,
That
those
was from the
things?
2010 plan.
Was there a 2020 plan?
There is a 2020 plan.
Where is that published or available?
I have a copy of it right now. I was gonna say it was.
What we did with, every time we did these visioning plans, it would be on the community, if they were interested, they could come and choose what committee they would like to be on. And all it was people giving input as to goals and directions they would like to see that particular area go. So the last one was economic development, public safety, education, healthcare, housing, land use, tourism and recreation, and environmental committee. Previous, I think the 2010, we actually had agriculture. I don't know if that was broken out to environmental.
Well, I'd forgotten about the Tourist Development Council, but back in '97, we wanted to promote tourism. And we do have a Tourist Development Council. We got the bed tax passed, and we generate $120,000 a year from the bed tax.
It's gonna be higher this year.
Well, okay, but roughly $120,000. That money is used to bring, we advertise, we promote tourism.
Magazine and on websites.
So, everything been accomplished? But, so, I'd like to see us in, I mean, it's nice for us, little group right here to sit and determine what the future of Madison County is gonna look like, but I think that's the wrong thing to do. I think the more people we have, is it messy? Yeah. But at the end of the day, I think we've got a process here that the community will support. Okay? And if they don't participate, I know I'm being recorded, but if you don't participate, then don't bitch. Very simple. So,
That's why we're here.
okay.
Well, and this was
But then you're gonna have an
facilitated by
opportunity
the
to roll up your
executive.
sleeves. And
Sure.
put some-
And we have.
And we're doing it.
When would y'all like to do this? Don't everybody speak at once.
I would think.
There's a lot of work that
If we're
goes.
gonna have participation like the '97, '98 meeting, I don't see how you could do it before probably February of next year.
I was gonna suggest February, March. The
Because
closer we
it
get
takes
to.
a lot of planning and a lot of promotion in order to get that level of participation. I don't think the 2020 plan had the participation level that we had at that meeting.
That's true.
I think it would be a great thing there's been a lot of change in the makeup of our community since '98, 2018, and to get the fresh voices and new ideas and for another 12 years would be a good thing.
You wanna set a target for the end of February? Okay, now the last, I don't remember who facilitated the 2020.
Elizabeth did.
She did them both, but she's retired now.
Yeah, Randy Cantrell said that he'd be happy to help me
Okay,
with some of the.
so, this is the University of Florida, IFAS. They kept us on track. And they were free.
Free is good.
We thinking one meeting, one like dinner and breakout?
Well, my thinking would be is that we have a big meeting. I mean, I don't know what's on Gene's mind, okay?
Could I suggest, as you get working into like a month or two out, and I realize probably, I think there's only 2,000 subscriptions to the paper, but usually something that shows up there spread like fire.
Yeah.
Or everybody eventually gets it, or we go through the civic clubs also. But actually have decided on what committee issues you want. So people can already be thinking, okay, I'd like to work in the area of recreation. So by the time they get to the meeting, most people already have an idea of which committee they'd like to serve on. And then like you say, you can have your big meeting, welcome everybody, explain to people what you're doing, and then break into your smaller. That way you ain't gonna have, if you happen to have 800 people in a room, you're not gonna have 500 hands up. They can do it in, they can do it in their committees.
Yeah, that's what we did.
Yeah, well,
People went, there was a leader for each committee.
I mean, but go ahead and let the public already know that before they even show up. And have some idea of what they wanna work. Cause most members of the chambers is probably gonna wanna work in the business or economic development or like that, or things that they see that will help their business. And that way they can already have an idea before they get there. Then you can already have an idea of how many I'm gonna have in this committee, like that. So, I'm just saying to help, because if you get 800 again, that was full house at church. I wasn't there, I was at seat, but a lot of the people there told, and that was, I'm sure that was a full house. So having that many people somewhere again is gonna be, and with just the way times are, I don't see you getting that many again. That'd be nice, but.
Hey, they can at least ways be invited.
Yeah, oh yeah,
Show up or not, that's.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
We just subscribed to Survey Monkey, and we could promote this and send out questionnaires, voting online, as to the different committees and who would be interested in what, and try to get an idea ahead of time as to what committees they would want.
Well, I can tell you, we identified 8 areas of concern in 1997, 98. When we did it for 2020, I can't remember his name, but he was, up on, environmental concerns. And so I think we created an environmental committee.
I think agriculture was dropped, probably because of the people in the room, because agriculture is a huge economic part of Madison,
So why don't you put together a steering committee initially, and then try to identify who you want to facilitate it. And somebody that's got experience in facilitating these might have some definitive ideas that you want to address prior to sending surveys out and things like that. But I would encourage you to put together a
Planning committee?
a planning committee or a steering committee to help facilitate it up front, and then identify who your facilitator is gonna be, and then leverage their ideas and their experience into how best to launch it in the community.
Dr. Liz, unfortunately, she's retired, and I don't know this other gentleman,
Randy came up here one time
but,
for
okay,
your bank, I think.
but, she kept everybody on, she was a little drill sergeant, she
Well-
kept everybody in line, and we got a good.
IFAS might have somebody, the Florida Chamber might have somebody, FSU might have somebody,
No, FSU ain't got nobody.
they ain't got nobody, UF might have somebody.
Well, that's where this person comes from.
Oh, that is, okay.
That is
Okay.
Alright, okay, we got some work to do, who wants to volunteer to serve on the committee? Don't everybody raise your hand all at once now. I said raise your hand.
I will add.
Okay, alright. You get those? Okay.
Bobby.
You know, citizen volunteers?
Yes.
Okay, I'll volunteer.
Okay. Okay. Did you get all those names?
I have Diane, Caitlin, Meg, Diane Douglas.
Yeah, yeah. And Danny and I.
Okay. Miss Bridget? Troublemaker here. Max Brown? Who else? Okay. Alright, Miss Lester. Diane, would you do this? Would you find out when a time for, what's his name? Randy, that he could meet with us?
You want to meet with the steering committee?
Yes.
And we might could set up a,
Zoom
polycom type thing. Where he's, you can see him.
That would be his part.
I have a couple people in mind. Could I talk to them and they could possibly be added to this committee, or do I need to bring the name up now?
Ken, what about you?
Well, I'm busy recording right now.
Tell me to hold your
Steering
phone.
committee and those, the people that you're thinking of can come and be part of the breakout session.
What would be the duties of the steering committee, and what's the plan for that committee?
Well, we'll put together a plan.
Where are the plans?
Or how we're gonna do the meeting,
How we're
the
gonna
main
do it.
meeting, how we're gonna
And then
coordinate it.
we'll come back to this group here, and y'all can beat it, and massage it, do whatever you wanna do with it. But,
If you have in late February, your January meeting's gonna be your deciding meeting here of how it's actually gonna be done.
we're all well paid here, so.
Well, we might can meet in December.
We could have a call meeting,
Yeah.
and Betty Crocker can fix us breakfast up here one morning. And we could meet.
I don't have any assets in your bank,
Okay. All right, will you check and see when
No.
meet with us?
I guess that's a yes.
It's like a morning meeting for
Whatever.
I'll do it.
10 to noon.
I'll do it or find a replacement.
And we'll put out an outline together as to what we wanna do, and he does this for a living, right?
Well, it's one of the many things that they do.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then
I'd like to say something. You were talking about tourists, getting that going and everything. There are so many people out there who not have known where Greenville is and not been for the Charles. And I have people coming through, bus loads. I lecture to them and they say they enjoy it. And from all around and everywhere, so that's good. That's what came out of it for Greenville. So we have that there, and nobody knows what on where Greenville is. I mean, anywhere I go and then I tell them where Greenville is. So anything, that came out of it. And I get people coming through, they all don't give me money, but I accept what they offer.
they stop over at the Jiffy Mart there and buy Coca-Cola or something,
Yeah.
and everything. Okay.
And that, I'm pretty sure, you know, what is it, the lake out here? That was some, yeah, that was some of, helped them to locate in Greenville.
Yesterday, I had the opportunity to speak with persons who were not from Greenville. The question was asked, what is your greatest need, asset in Greenville? Well, I said, well, a long time ago, Greenville was really bustling. Y'all know we had a movie theater, we had a lot of businesses downtown. Greenville was really bustling. And when the industries left, Greenville kind of left. You know, the mills moved and the people moved for their jobs. And I was asked, well, I said, we still have a mill here, but it's not 24/7 like it used to be. And I was asked, well, has anybody talked to them to see how they would like to expand or what they would need help with? I said, no, but it can be done. Maybe they want to expand. I don't know. Just during that, the last question.
You can get in touch with, invite him to the meeting.
I know at one time they were making some sort of plywood and they were the only ones in the United States making that particular type.
I think what they did, and I'm not sure if they still do or not, but they make the what I call press board that goes into desk and chair, not chairs, but the office furniture type things.
Cabinets.
And cabinets.
Yeah, cabinets.
Uh,
And that's one of the things I tell the people about what we used to have and all about what, cause you know, when they first started, I mean, years and years ago, there was crates, the orange crates. That's what they were doing in Greenville. And because my daddy worked there and they put them together, so I have one there to explain to the people that they don't see what it looks like. And, they went from that to doing plywood. And it was just amazing how they would take that log, cut it into a piece, and then I put it in the lathe, and then it turns and turns and turns until it come out to a and then they put it together, different plywood. Stella came and did some work for me the other day, and I was telling him about plywood and all about the plywood, as to how many plies the board had that he put up to those windows that I was covering up. He said he told his wife he didn't even know I knew anything about plywood. My daddy worked there, my mom worked there. I worked there also when I first started working.
I think they're in their third generation of ownership right now, if I'm not mistaken. Moved down here from, North Carolina.
Yeah.
If I'm not correct. Okay. All right. Are we done with that?
I want to join the committee
Huh?
before we adjourn. I'll join.
I don't know if you can pass the background check.
Please.
Oh, there's a background check?
Okay. All right, we will, if y'all will kind of, be a little bit flexible, if we need to have a called meeting between now and the time we would be scheduled to meet again, which I guess will be sometime in January, and kind of put this thing together, so, and, we'll have to check everybody, if Florida IFAS can facilitate it, we have to be somewhat dependent upon their availability as to when we actually have it.
I can go on as long as I know ahead of time and someone wants to advance. But I'll see if maybe we can have a meeting in November, and then maybe this group can meet again in early December.
Okay.
Get it rolling.
We'll need to worry about, I think, Jerry Gray with the, Church of Christ, Church of God out on 145, they got a big gymnasium that will probably hold 700-800 people. I don't know, had football banquet there and it was jam-packed, so,
If you have that meeting in November, don't you also need to have election of officers?
yeah, if you want to.
I'm asking, I'm just asking. No, I,
The
characteristic.
November meeting's just the steering committee, right?
Yeah, well, unless we, yeah, the steering. Well, no, we're gonna get together, the steering committee will get together as soon as we find their schedule. Okay, with IFAS, and then if we need to have a meeting with this group, then we'll have a call meeting. Okay? Does that work?
Yeah.
Okay. And then our regularly scheduled meeting will be in January, and I guess we got a conflict with.
January first is the first Tuesday.
I don't think we want to meet on New Year's Day. I love you, I don't like you that much. You wanna move it to the next, the scheduled meeting for the second week in January, or the second Tuesday in January?
Make a motion to move our meeting in January to January the 8th.
Is that the date? Okay, okay.
No, we might wanna aim for the first, daylight savings time. I mean, the whole big meeting, so there's a little more daylight.
They got lights over there. Hey,
A lot of people like to get home before dark, that's right.
Because you get too much light, and then you got, rural people who won't participate because they're gonna be out working.
Oh.
I thought I thought they rescinded that.
I don't think it ever got to the court.
It hadn't? I was
It's gonna be Eastern time they're gonna do away with, they're gonna keep you on daylight savings year round.
I don't care which one to do, just leave it alone.
We need a second, we never followed through with the motion.
Okay, we had a motion to do a 2030.
No, to move the meeting to
Oh,
January
excuse me.
8th.
All right, we got a motion to move the meeting to January the 8th. Is there a second?
Diane,
Did she make it or second?
she seconded it.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, I'm good out.
Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to recommend, and I've even offered as a motion, that in our January meeting, we do a 2018 review of what has been effective and what has not been effective, and so that we can address things like the dues that we just discussed today. We wrung our hands over. We make a strategic decision in January about what we're gonna fund and what we're not gonna participate in for the year 2019, and rather than taking each event individually. So that we kind of have a plan about where we're going forward.
And is that a motion?
Yes, sir.
Is there a second?
I second that.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. And we, depend upon, Crawford and, county management to put that together?